A recording has been started. No shit, XSplit. Hey everyone, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
So, we were going to originally play with the full crew, but Sammy got real sick and he was pushing himself to play, so we said, "Excuse me, you're silly. Get some rest."
Go to bed.
So
So,
sleepy.
since then, I've had to sit down and really rewrite a lot of things to get it to work, and last night when I should have gotten a lot of rest, I had some weird, liver or kidney or bladder pains. I don't know. There wasn't much I could do about it except take a hot bath at midnight. That helped.
Hell yeah.
But I'm fine now. So, if everyone will remember last time, Maven and Rue were incapacitated, so you'll notice the other players' names are different. I have asked them to assist me by taking on the roles of different characters for the time being.
Ooh.
Ooh.
We'll kind of get into a chance to introduce them, but I've stalled enough. I delayed an hour, and I've stalled for like 30, almost 30 minutes. Wow, my Wi-Fi signal's a little weak. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Just do the usual. Start screaming if I start cutting out.
Gotcha.
Don't scream unless I'm cutting out.
Just getting practice.
You're good, don't worry.
Okay, well, does everyone have the dice they're going to use?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let me get the timer started, and let's go. This is, like I said, it's probably gonna be a short session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's go. All right, timer started. Let's do this shit. Okay. It's another dusty night in the mesa. The sandstorm overhead's a howling. The kobold servants yip obediently as they carry sandstone quarried from the mines a few pounds at a time. The Bomb Shelter Tavern is closing up its doors as its stout dragonborn owner, Cinder, is making preparations to close up for the night. So, you two, feel free to take a couple of minutes to just kind of slide the roleplay shoes on, and I'll interrupt when necessary.
All right. Okay. Sorry, I got jitters because I'm so excited. I'm actually like shivering. Ooh.
Ooh.
All right. Well, that was another long day, wasn't it, huh, Davey?
Yeah, kind of was.
Tell me, did you have a good day today?
I mean, good enough getting coins thrown in my face, I guess.
Ah, come on. It's just how we cold-bloods are. I mean, at least be grateful they actually pay you, even if they can't understand you.
Yeah, it still hurts.
Ah, don't worry, baby. Maybe later I'll kiss your boo-boos better, huh?
Yeah. I want to rest. It's
Let me guess, that old iron ball's chafing your ankles, eh?
yeah. It hurts.
Well, it's all over now. Just give me a bit to close up shop a bit more and we can rest.
Sounds fine with me.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so as this is happening, Cinder, your kobold crew is busting the tables and bar. They yip to each other in shrill draconic voices as they hurriedly finish their work. You can't remember any of their names, as each day new kobolds are rotated to fill this shift. Tending to the bomb shelter is likely a treat for them compared to toiling in the sandstone mines, doing backbreaking work in exchange for the approval of their lords. The kobolds all line up and yip and draconic toward you, awaiting dismissal. The entirety of the eatery is spick and span. Well, it's as spick and span as an ancient, deteriorating, splintering saloon can get. They await your dismissal from their duties eagerly.
Alright, do I have to screech or can I just say it like normally?
You could just say it normally.
Alright. Cinder's gonna look around and do a double take around the saloon and nod her head once in approval. Alright then, y'all did a good job. Now hurry up and get on out of here.
Okay. So, let me interject and I'll give them the flavor test I gave you guys. Your name is Cinder Nero. At the age of 15, you were given an opportunity to serve in Tiamat's kindred battalion when you were caught blasting your way into the food reserves of Luran, where you have since remained. Time has passed by in a fashion that your immediate family members are of little concern to you. As a Phonican prisoner... Hello? Am I reading the wrong one? Oh, no, I'm reading the right one. As a Phonican prisoner of war has caught your eye. You keep him in the eatery with you as entertainment for guests. Though, when your superiors arrive, they are often displeased and sometimes violent toward him if he is not placed in a holding cell until they leave. Your infatuation with this creature was uncovered, and you were dishonorably discharged from Tiamat's kindred battalion for fraternizing with the blood enemy. After serving 4 years in the battalion as bomb maker and grenadier, you have been reduced to operating Luran's sole eating establishment, the bomb shelter. You are not compensated. You do not receive regular shipments of food. Ever since a particularly messy event during your time in the war, the sight of red makes you sick to your stomach, so you prefer to blend up and ingest insects and cheeses. Your day-to-day life has devolved from glory and recognition to obligation and bending the knee to your Dragonborn superiors. Of all the Dragonborn in the battalion, you rank by far the lowest. Even some of the Kobold squad leaders now outrank you. This eatery is all you have left aside from your desire to beat the kobolds to the treasure they seek and leave Luran. And Tiamat's kindred. For good. Okay. And it's at this time that the kobolds all line up and... The kobolds noisily leave the establishment. The last one to leave suddenly perks up as they look outside. They clamber back inside to get your attention. In shrill Draconic, they're like... Quartermaster Elentra's coming!
Cinder's eyes shoot wide open as she looks over to Xavier. Hurry now. My superiors are coming. You best get in your cell if you know what's good for you.
Okay.
He picks up the ball, the iron ball, and tries to get out of there as fast as he could.
Okay, so you basically just go behind the counter, and there's a room where there are 2 holding cells. The one on the right is unlocked.
Goes into the one on the right.
And I assume you want to close the door but not lock it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Alright, and during this time, Cinder, takes the time to dust herself off and, adjust herself, flare out her hair a bit, and adjust her bosoms.
And it's at
Gotta
this...
keep the girls looking good.
I might as well at this time give the other blurb for Creeps' character. Your name is Xavier Maddox. At least that's what Tiamat's kindred thinks your name is. Around 8 months ago, you were captured whilst on tour, the rest of your performing troops slain in cold blood. The leader of that squad decided to spare you because she found you cute. In the coming months, her affection became infatuation, and infatuation became obsession. Then obsession became marriage, whatever this marriage thing is. Cinder is one of the very, very few scaled inhabitants that communicate with you in common. Everyone else speaks in gruff, grunting, or guttural screeching language that you have still not become accustomed to. You seek so sorely to make a connection, but the only one you can make connections with treats you more like a sick pleasure pet. Whilst this is often nice, you find yourself constantly second-guessing your relationship. Some days you're into it, some days you're opposed to it. Your sanity is beginning to reach its limits, and so are your wits. The songs you perform nowadays are met only with hisses and projectiles from the folk that cannot even understand you. Folk that do not understand you, that you are the sole living component left alive of a 4-member troop who are no more. One of your very few remaining desires is to desperately discover what is happening in the outside world, and to return to it at any cost. Each day is racked with paranoia, confusion, and borderline starvation. You constantly question your loyalties and are eager to make new ones with anyone that would listen. And I've also given them to... I gave these two these clouds to adhere to. They're allowed to fill the blanks as they see necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So, let me... Where are my notes? Because I just read out of order. I have
Superior.
I have Yeah, I know. I'm looking for the specific line.
Oh, gotcha.
There we go. And at this point, that you notice the superior is Quartermaster Alestra. She never did enjoy the presence of Fonikin, which is why she became forefront in the slaughter of the indigenous Fonikin in this blood war. She voiced continually each day that they are little more than small creatures. I looked down, saw someone was typing, and that distracted me.
Sorry. I'm writing down the name so I don't forget because I'm the worst.
It's fine.
That's my bad.
Let me actually move my notes over that so I don't get distracted. Okay, there we go. That's better.
My bad.
Okay, she voiced continually each day that they are little more than small creatures to serve as food and tallow for the Dragonborn. As the small kobold slides out the front door, comes Quartermaster Alestra. She is a very tall Dragonborn woman, standing at 7 feet tall. So slender that she better resembles a series of bean poles for limbs. She wears her various ragged hides and leathers loosely over her crimson-scaled body. The first thing she does enter the eatery is draw a deep breath. After a moment, she looks from corner to corner, to the cage converted to stage, and then back toward you. Quartermaster Alestra marches directly toward you, Cinder, and she raises her shrill voice in Draconic. Ah, I see you still have that thing around. Good thing you at least put it up this time.
But of course, anything for my quartermaster.
Now, you have to understand this isn't just for me. You've lost rank 4 times because of this thing. 4 times over food. Has it been worth it?
And Cinder puts a finger to her lip and like taps it a bit. Well, you know me. The things I do for myself. And I guess you could say he's one of the things I do for myself. It's very fun.
It's at this point that you can see her pinch the scaled knot between her eyebrows. And she's like, look, I know I blow my top about this every time, but we're not wanting the rest of our troop to become furry sympathizers, alright? Could you at least keep it on, I don't know, a leash or something? She says this while remembering that she delivered the ball and chain the last time she was here. And she corrects herself. She's like, I know this is presumptuous, but Cinder, your obsession with this creature has brought Patron Tia's attention to our troop. You've already been stripped of your rank 4 times, and you're doing the work of tempered kobolds. I'm trying to make sure that you're not next on the tempering list with the other hatchlings. You can see the genuine concern in her face. Well, at least as much that can be conveyed through the striking yellow, slitted, reptilian eyes of hers. When will enough be enough? You're going to get us all in trouble.
Cinder crosses her arms over her bust and sighs. Well, if you really are concerned about this, I guess when it comes down to it, I'll make a decision. But as far as I see it for now, that decision doesn't need to be made yet. Until then, I think I'm gonna enjoy myself a little bit more. After all, I'm pretty sure anyone says under whispered breaths that I am shameless. Not that I can much.
It's at this point that she kind of pinches the knot between her eyebrows again. She's like, well, it's your choice at the end of the day. Just make sure it's in its cage anytime Drill Master Locke comes around, and we should be okay. Or else he might have me add it to the food reserves, if you get my drift. It's at this point you can see her hastily turn on her heels and essentially run out of the tavern. The wash of worry on her face does not at all fade.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And Cinder chuckles a bit as she watches, turning towards the room with the cells in it. Oh, believe me, Alestra, he's gotten very good at knowing when he's supposed to be put away. As all toys should be.
What hell?
Though you do remember the previous time that pack of kobolds roughed up Zavi while he was freely roaming. They have since been tempered after you falsely told them that the food stores were raided by them. The joke's on your superiors, they seldom ever decide to do any sort of inspection on the bomb shelter, so your personal massive cheese stores have gone completely undetected. It's a rarity that anyone ever delivers anything to the bomb shelter other than criticism, and you don't expect things to change anytime soon. So, you two go ahead and take a few minutes to just kind of roleplay while I get the next little bit of my notes figured out here.
Alright, Cindy's gonna walk into the room and, like, dust herself off again, sighing. Well, she ain't wrong, you know. You are quite a troublesome one, in one way or another.
Well, it's not really my fault that I'm here.
She walks over to the cell and, like, absentmindedly taps her fingers between the bars. Oh, don't worry. I know it's not your fault. That's why I'm so nice to you. Maybe one day somebody will see the same way I do. And when that happens, trust me, things will get a lot better for us.
Can't happen any sooner. This isn't right. How we're living. This isn't good for either of us. Obviously, your higher ups aren't happy with me, and I have literally no one to go to here besides you. I'm just fucked here.
Well, that's why I'm so stubborn with you, Xavier. Who better to have as your protector than the most stubborn girl in all of Loran? Trust me, though, we've both been working hard, and soon enough, it's all gonna pay off. And as she, like, smiles, her, like, gold-plated tooth, like, sheens a bit.
I certainly hope it'll pay off soon.
Now,
Yeah.
don't you worry your furry little hide. Trust me, we'll get through this, and we'll get through this together.
If you say so.
And she's gonna, like, open the cell cage and step in and, like, lean against the door frame. But that leash idea does sound tantalizing, don't it?
Leash? Zavi
Yeah.
looks up at Cinder, confused.
Yeah, leash. Alestra told me to keep you on a leash. That's in the realm of possibility, but I think I'll sit on it for now.
I mean, you've already got the chain on me. What's the point of a leash? That's already a
And
thing.
And she, like, stops you from saying anything more, and she, like, pokes a scaled hand up, her claw, like, jutting into the air. She's like, "Up, up, up, up." Now, in my defense, that was not my idea. That was Alestra's suggestion.
And she also suggested the leash.
You darn tootin'.
Zavi sighs and just shakes his head.
Well, I'm not opposed to it, but I would rather not.
And she's gonna, like, crouch down, her eyes, like, half lidded as she stares at you. Now, Zay. I know this has been rough on both of us, but trust me, I'm doing this for both of us. I've had to make a lot of hard decisions that you don't know about, keeping you around. It's all for your safety.
I guess, but I, are you sure you really want to do this?
And she like smiles, like her smile this time that she cracks is like less smug and like slightly condescending and more like a genuine warm smile as she looks at you. Of course. I've never been one to back down to something that seemed impossible.
Well, I doubt anytime soon any of your people is gonna accept me.
And that's why we're making a plan to get out of here. One way or the other.
Hopefully. But how people treat you here and seeing that like you're in the doghouse because of me, if we leave, what'll happen to that? Like they wouldn't think highly of you either.
And she like chuckles a bit. That's implying people think highly of me now. Ever since I took a liking to you, I've always heard the whisper around the town about how I'm so shameless for taking a liking to you, woman.
Well, you have a point there. I just want a day to relax for once. It'd be nice just to get out of here and finally be free.
She like reaches over and like pats your head. Now don't worry. I promise, one way or another, you'll get that day. Both of you know.
I hope so.
It's at this point that in the cell that you're in, you look to the back of the cell where there is a wooden board a bit loose. This is the passageway that leads to the site that you are excavating.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's your choice whether you want to work part through the night or if you want to just sleep.
Hmm. I think Cinder's gonna work through the night. What about you, Xavier?
I think Xavier's already had it rough, and I think he's gonna rest.
Okay. So, Xavier, you're already pretty much in your bedroom. Congratulations.
Hooray.
Have a good sleep.
And you're basically going to be sleeping on a mixture of sand and hay.
Oh, damn.
Mm.
The most comfortable of things.
No blanket, no covering. The bathroom is a hole dug in the corner.
Sweet.
Oh my god.
So, Cinder, when you move the plank in the back of the cell, you're greeted with darkness, and as you snap your fingers, the tunnels kind of mildly light to life. And it takes you and then to your right is a pickaxe your size. Naturally, you're probably going to be grabbing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes you a good actual 20 minutes to walk to get to the end of the tunnel, and this includes you flying down. Your plan is you've heard of a giant gem somewhere in Luran, and that is the purpose of the kobold mines in the town. They're looking to take this treasure and use it for the battalion, but you figure as something as large and valuable as it is, you would never have to work again a day in your life, and you could easily blast your way out of Luran if you so wanted to. So your goal is to whisk the treasure out from beneath the battalion and then leave. And you've been working on this tunnel you've been working on this tunnel for part of the night for pretty much the past 7 months that you've been here.
Hard working, long working.
And thankfully this is sandstone, so it's very brittle and fairly easy to break. The difficult part is that you have to break it into small granules like sand, and then you have to get a bucket and you have to fly back up the shaft and deposit it elsewhere. So you work part through the night, and as you reach the end of your shift, you find something promising.
Ooh.
You find very, very small shards of translucent yellow gems as you continue digging. It's the first time digging this tunnel that you've actually found something of substance whilst working in it.
Yeah, she's gonna continue digging.
Give me a strength check.
Boop. Alright. That's 15.
Okay. So, for the next 30 minutes, you're able to continue working. And these very small yellow shards that you're finding, they're still very occasional. You've only found the one. But after this half hour of your continued work, you find another. And it's at this point that you decide that maybe you should change your scope of thinking. Maybe instead of digging horizontally, you should begin to dig vertically down. It's at this point that you begin to feel tired, though. So you mark off the site for yourself, and you begin to make the trek back into the bomb shelter. Which now, since you've been working so long, takes only 23 minutes. All that work, you only got 3 minutes of tunnel.
Gone.
That's how real life works, though, dude.
It is.
That's fair.
So, is there anything that you want to do, like have a monologue or interact with Zavi while he's sleeping, or do you want to go ahead and move on to the next day?
Cinder's gonna prepare for bed, and she's gonna like speak to herself like softly as she like readies her hair for sleepy. She's gonna be like, "Just they wait. One of these days, they're gonna see good old Cindon with, and they're gonna be really shameful. And then, when her pet is at her side, just they wait." And that's it.
Okay, so you move to bed, and you both sleep comfortably through the night. And the next day comes, and the next morning is pretty. How do you want to do things? Because Zavi, you have the choice whether to come out and perform or to stay in your cell.
I think he's probably just gonna stay in the cell and just like practice more on guitar.
Okay.
Just not wanting to be disturbed as much.
Okay. So, Cinder, you receive your new crew of 3 kobolds, and these kobolds are less lively. They seem to be in a hypnotic state. But they obey your every order. To the T. You would recognize these as tempered kobolds. They have lost their free will, and they only live to serve Tiamat.
Oof.
Ooh.
So the next morning goes swimmingly until just after the midday rush. Until a hulking dragonborn man marches in. His hide is covered with metallic blue scales, and he wears nothing over his midsection, but he does wear leather pants and boots. Scales are missing on several parts of his torso, like on his shoulder, on one of his arms. And you can notice that one of his eyes is covered with a leather eye patch, and the other is a bright purple color. This is Drillmaster Locke.
Ooh.
In one arm, behind his back, on one arm he has a medium-sized hare fonikin. Hare's another word for rabbit. And he's holding his arms behind his back, and you can see that this Fonikin has a look of defeat on his face, and he's looking down. And he's being forced along by the tip of Drillmaster Locke's scimitar.
Aww.
And over Drillmaster Locke's other shoulder is a burlap sack, full and dripping at the base messily with blood.
Oh.
As Cinder looks at the sack, she like purses her lips a bit, but still puts on like a polite smile. She addresses him. Well, good evening. It's always good to see you, sir.
And then Drillmaster Locke shouts in guttural draconic, "Ha ha! Cinder, have you not gotten used to the day cycle here yet? It's only midday, and we've found ourselves a lot of fresh foodstuffs. Anyone that resisted has been added to our food stores, except for this one. He was very compliant."
Really? And she's gonna look over at the hair. Can she take a look?
Yeah.
Some details on this man?
Yeah, you can definitely tell that he's an older gentleman. Not like elderly, he's older, like probably like middle-aged. He's medium size, so he's like 5'4". His ears are folded back on his head, and you can tell that he has has somewhat of a salt and pepper black beard.
Ooh.
And he has navy eyes with thin yellow circles on his pupils. He also seems to be wearing some fine clothes with like you know how nobles have that I don't know what it's called. It's like a necktie that you pull up when it's in your collar and it fluffs up a little bit.
An ascot?
No. That's what Fred wears in Scooby-Doo. That's an ascot.
Oh wait, no. I think I know you're talking about like the puffy.
Yeah, it's like a puffy thing. He's also wearing an overcoat that seems would be befitting of a gentleman and a definitely a educated type. He almost seems like he's a professor of some sort. So what Drillmaster Locke does is he kind of prods him forward with the scimitar a little bit. He's like, "All right, now, boy, go. We have a place for you here, and when Lady Tia arrives in a couple days, we're going to have some questions for you. Cinder, it's time to use the holding cells. Put this one away."
And like Cinder's like facial expression remains still, and she like politely bows her head a bit. She's like, "Yes, sir. Come on now, you. Into the cell."
It's at this point he kind of looks up at you pitifully, and he slowly but obediently marches into the cell and takes a seat. He doesn't drop his hands the entire time.
Would I be able to see him?
Yes.
Okay. Would he be like across the way from me, or is he like?
He's in the other cell. You're separated by bars.
Okay, got it.
And the difference is his cell. You are going to lock this cell, right?
Yeah. Of
Okay.
course.
So this cell is locked. And also, may I ask, where would you keep the keys?
In her cleavage.
Okay.
That's an uncomfortable place to put keys.
What else do
Not
you...
if your boobs are big enough.
Not if your boobs are big enough. Okay.
It's true though.
They're like pillows, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a gif of a lady who shoves an entire bottle of vodka, like the whole ass vodka bottle in her tits, dude.
Okay.
It's at this point that you hear Drill Master Locke shout out, "Now, Cinder, come over to the food storage. We finally have some food, and I've been dying for a red surprise."
And like Cinder visibly gulps, and she like turns to go over to him. Well, yes, sir, of course. Anything.
And it's at this point that he follows you into your food storage area, and he slaps the burlap sack down, and when he unties it and pours it out, it is several Phonic and Minikins that have been disemboweled, some beheaded.
Oh.
Can I recognize any of the species?
They're mixes of rabbits and mixes of like small forest animals.
Okay.
One in particular has platinum blonde hair and her eyes are locked open they're locked open in shock.
Yeah.
And she's wearing a sundress that was white but is now stained red. And you can definitely tell that some of the Dragonborn and Kobold have been snacking on some of these, as the hand of this one is already missing. The left hand of this one is already missing. And then her internal organs are kind of just hanging out, because again, they were disemboweled, so...
Ooh. Rough.
And then Drillmaster Locke's like, "Well, what are you waiting for? Go get the meat grinder."
Cinder, like, purses her lips a bit as she, like, folds her hand together, and she's like, "Oh, yes, sir. Quite the impressive haul you've brought in for me today." And she, like, turns around. And when she's sure he can't see her face, she, like, her nose, like, wrinkles up, and her smile just kind of falters into that of, you know, slight disgust and concern.
Give me a Constitution save.
Ooh, boy. Okay. 10.
Okay, it's at this time that the metallic smell of the blood is getting to you, and you throw up in your mouth a little bit.
Ooh. Gross.
Smelly.
Stinky. Uh-oh, stinky.
And as you look around, you find the meat grinder, which is a fairly heavy device that you place small bits of bone and meat matter into, and it grinds them into a fine paste. And this is the only ingredient in Red Surprise. It's just finely grounded meat. That's it.
Ooh.
So, you're gonna go ahead and bring it back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, as you enter the room, give me another con save.
Ooh, boy. Ooh, that's a 20. Not a nat one, but
Okay.
20.
Nice.
Okay, you managed to swallow the vomit in your mouth back down.
Oh, gross.
Yucky.
And you bring the meat grinder in, and what Drillmaster Locke does is like, "Okay, well, let's see, I think this should do." And what he does is he grabs a long line of her, like, intestines, and he gets a scimitar and he just cuts it. Without a second thought. And you can definitely tell that this lady that he's cutting this from has not been dead long. It's been within the morning. Like, rigor mortis has not really set in, because she still kind of, like, flails about. And, as he does this, a sickening smell of, like, bile and the content spills out. Give me another con save.
Oh, brother.
Gross.
Ooh, that's a 5.
You full on throw up.
Gross.
You just full on lose your bowels, and you take 4 points of nausea damage.
Jesus.
Amazing.
That's so much.
It just keeps coming, like you cannot stop barfing.
You don't suck. When you don't.
Chris. No.
And Drill Master Locke is like, "Whoa, look out! You're gonna throw up into the mix." Gross. Ironic, he says, as he's
Gross.
getting basically where throw up comes from this min kid.
Fucking hell.
And then he puts it in the repository, into the top of the repository. He's like, "Here, turn the crank. I'll go get me glass."
Glass.
And he goes into the other room. And you're sitting here with it's at this time that you notice as you look around. This food storage is really dark, so without the sun being raised enough and with the sandstorm over Luron, not a lot of light comes in. You notice several pairs of eyes looking at you as every Minkin corpse that was brought in, he has hung on chains and hooks in this room. And they're completely surrounding you with this one that you've been butchering in the center. Give me another con save.
Oh, great. Ooh. Alright, that's 15.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go ahead and give you a minute to kind of process the information that has been given to you.
Ooh, I just thought of something flavor. A bit flavor.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say that she gets her, like, widow's weave hat that, like, obscures her face and puts it on before she starts handling anything?
It's already been on.
It's already been on. Yeah.
You'll
Alright.
probably pull the veil down though. That's fine.
Yeah,
Dead
just a bit
people
more.
watching you.
Chris.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was the first thing that came in my head. It wasn't my fault. Shut up, phone.
It's also in this
Alright.
room, with this being food storage, that the other skeletons have not been cleaned out. There are several piles of bones like pushed to each of the corners. And these have been from butcheries past, where you've had the kobolds do it. But whenever Drill Master Locke comes in, he specifically requests you make the drink. This has been a ritual that has happened each and every time that they have found, quote-unquote, new fresh food supply, which for Kobold and Dragonborn is substantially from indigenous peoples that live in the Feywilds. And nothing else.
Ooh.
Okay, go ahead and take it away.
Alright. She takes one good look around before pulling down the veil to, like, completely obscure her face before she, like, whispers to herself, "What a mess." And then she's gonna start working at that grinder.
As you begin to turn the... Give me a strength check on turning it. It's pretty old.
Alright. Uh-oh, stinky. Let me see here.
I'm gonna eat some candy while you do that.
13.
I'm gonna call that good enough. Ah, drop one! No, come here! I dropped one of my Reese's Pieces, man. Vomit and Reese's Pieces. What a good session this has been.
Amazing.
Okay. So as you turn the crank, one of the intestines splurts some fluid on you, and you were very glad you had the widow's weave veiled down because it did not hit your face.
God.
And this small machine makes a terrible gurgling noise as you hear several blades and cogs turn. And out the bottom comes a very sickly, stinking red liquid with chunks of organs in it. This would be
Ew.
the Luron Red Surprise.
If you ask me, it's not surprising, so it's because it's clear where the surprise comes
Mm-hmm.
Dead body. Yummy.
from. Yummy.
Gross.
As the smell fills your nostrils, you fall back and you cover your nose. And you feel tears start to fill your eyes.
Oh boy.
This is the specific smell that you hate. This is the exact smell of the viscera that happened when one of your kobolds covered one of your grenades because it was thrown back. And he was just exploded into paste. Ever since this day, your diet has consisted of things that are not red. You despise the color red.
Ooh.
And then Drill Master Locke comes back in. He basically has one of those wooden steins that's like the size of his head. You know, the cups that have the lid on it with the hinge.
Oh yeah.
And he comes on in and he gets the repository. He's like, "Oh, I see you've finished," and he dumps the entire thing over effortlessly into the stein, and he drinks it up. He's like, "Oh, I haven't had that in such a while. It's been a rough few weeks. We don't find much food kind of wandering on the desert here." And he kind of wipes the blood off his lips onto his arm that doesn't have any scales on it. And you can see just this long streak of blood kind of go down his arms and trail its way down to his wrist as he has his other hand on his hip. He's like, "Well, Cinder, good job. You seem to be getting a little better at this," he says as he notices that you're covering your nostrils. Give me a con save since he's here.
Now that's just cruel, Randy. That's another 15.
Okay, that's good enough.
Jesus.
I've made these like DC 12, so they're not super easy, they're not super hard. And he's like, "And you didn't throw up this time. Very good." Tell me,
God.
you and I, we are both Dragonborn. Why is it that you don't enjoy the bountiful meals that this new plane provides to us? We never got to eat humans like this back in the homeland.
And she sort of like folds her hands together as she like thinks about it a bit. And she sighs. "Well, you know me. I guess it's just sort of my nature to get close to people, and ever since that day," and she like remembers her kobold that jumped over one of her grenades. "It's kind of hard to stomach things that are a bit more messy."
And then Locke kind of gets down on his knees, kind of close to you since you're down your nose. He's like, "Now, there's one thing that you need to remember, and that Lady Tia is going to tell you when she arrives in a few days. These things are not people. They are animals, and they are food. They are nothing more. If Lady Tia comes here, and you have your pet around, and he is loose, we are all going to be tempered, and it's going to be your fault." Now, I know you're sensitive, and I know you've lost your rank several times, so I have been forgiving with it, and that's why I've had you not slay the live specimens. I would be glad to do that work for you, he says as he puts his scimitar back on the holster he's wearing over his shoulder. But some things we do for the good of all of us. I never really enjoyed doing this, but I got accustomed to it after a couple of years. Now, I've got drills to attend to, so make sure you get some rest, maybe get some water from the well. You'll be okay. If you leave the meat grinder here, I would be happy to make my own refills, or you could just have one of the kobolds do it. As you look up, you can kind of see the kobolds shift that you have today. They're all, just moving about hypnotically like robots.
Ooh.
Anyway, fairly well, Cinder. thanks for the drink. And it's at this time that he kind of kicks back the entire stein and finishes it, and then he carries it with him as he rounds the corner and goes out the door.
Ooh.
So, Cinder.
Yeah.
Feel free to process what you have just received.
She's gonna step out of like the food storage and she's gonna go over to one of the kobolds and she's gonna point to one and be like, "You. Now I've had enough of doing this messy work. I am a lady. I should not have to trouble myself with this. You, go tend to some red surprise."
And then the kobold looks at you with milky white eyes with no pupils, and he's like, "Ah!" And he obeys your command. Okay, so we're gonna cut this scene. And we're gonna move over to Zavi, and you're gonna notice your new cell neighbor has put his hands down, and he's just all like, "Right, fine mess that was."
Yep.
And it's at this time you realize he's speaking common.
Like Zavi immediately, like his ears perk up, and just like looks to the hair beside him.
Yeah, hey. Welcome to this shithole.
And he's like, "Welcome. Seems like you've been here for a while, son."
7 months and kept going. I've been here since, well, I can pretty much remember.
7 months. Well, that's a long time. So was there anything I should know? Should I not drop the soap?
No,
You'll be
brother.
fine. I'm not into that. You're fine.
You can kind of see a grimace form on his face as he says this.
Oh,
God.
oh no! Oh, rip.
And he's like, he's okay. Just a little humor from the road.
Oh God.
Well,
Nice.
so how were you not slaughtered on sight? I just gave in right away.
Well, I was spared because the lady that brought you over here, she found me. She deemed me cute. So she kept me as her pet.
Well, that's unfortunate. I haven't been the type for caged life, as you would say. You can kind of see that he stood up at this point, and he's clasped his hands kind of around one of the bars, and he's shaking it mildly as not make noise, but to see how rigid they are. Son, you know this town has history, right?
Honestly, I barely knew this town existed before I was pretty much kidnapped here.
Well, around these times, Laron was the site of the Great Conflict. And, I haven't been here in about 25 years.
Oh,
God's how
So-
25 years change things.
so you've been here before. And you're still alive, which is the most surprising thing to me.
And he kind of side-eyes you real quick, and he kind of tweaks part of his beard. He's like, "Of course, I'm Joachim, Master Tactician. I served in the war. And I haven't seen my compatriots since the war. I wonder how they're doing."
I certainly hope well.
Say, son,
Because-
has this area been covered in scales since you arrived? The last time I was here, there were some fair, nice people living here.
And I can easily say there's not been many nice people here. It's a lot of scales. Yeah.
That's unfortunate. So the local language, would you say that you have accustomed to it just yet?
Not at all. I've just pretty much been stuck here or up there on that cage stage over there.
You can kind of see him grasp the bars and kind of lean over to try to look. And he does perception check. Yep, okay. It's at this time that he does see the cage stage. He's like, oh, so you're not just a prisoner. You have a purpose. What purpose would that be?
Well, considered entertainment, to say the least.
He, oh, shit. He notices that you have the iron ball, and he sees the guitar kind of laying in the corner. He's like, you poor bastard.
I know. It's unfortunate, but that's the life I have to live now. It's not the life I wanted. Before this, I was a part of a troupe, and our band was on tour, and we got surrounded, and all of them are dead now. Sadly.
Dragons is what dragon does, son. They're territorial and they don't care for nothing but themselves.
Found that out quickly.
See, when we were speaking to our compatriots in the human world, that's what they said too. Learned that these here dragons became our problem when a banishment ritual was a little bit too much of a success, and they managed to take over another plane of existence. And now they're looking to expand their forces and their territory, and it happens the Feywild was the most accessible one they could get to.
That doesn't surprise me,
Now,
seeing how all these dragons are.
we managed to drive them back 25 years back, but a compatriot and I decided to not, you simply can't just completely eradicate a race, it's not right. What if the tables were turned and it was our turn to be eradicated? Of course, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have thought twice, given they'd probably starve unless they ate themselves like the Ouroboros.
Zavi's just looking at Joaquin and just
Joaquin.
Joaquin. Fuck, I don't know. I can't get the name right. Joaquin. I'm so used to saying Joaquin. Joaquin. He looks at him just like kind of shocked, just like, oh.
So, okay. So what you're saying is that you helped these people before?
Well, not... You see, all these cold-bloods aren't bad. Some of these people are just civilians. Normal people like you and me that just got dragged into this. And it's at this time that he kind of looks up and he sees one of the kobolds kind of zombily tending the tables. These is what these dragons does. If you don't obey, they temper you. Now, do you know what tempering is?
Yeah, I've seen them around, and they're just pretty much lifeless, but they're just going on whatever the deity tells them to.
Truly, it is a terrible tactic. But dragons have no shame. They're self-serving, self-caring, selfish monsters.
Yeah. It's sad to see, but it's just how it is, I guess.
It's at this point that you've got me saying it now too. So at this point, I'm just gonna call him Joe. That'll make it easier. Let's just call him Joe.
Hey, Joe.
So it's at this
God.
point that Joe kind of looks out the cell and he notices a large nail hanging on the wall, but he notices no ring of keys on it. Perception check. Oh, yep. Okay, that's good enough. And at this time that he also notices the ratty desk that is long fallen apart with no drawers in it beside it. And a pile of sawdust that used to be a chair many years back. He's like, well, This cell certainly has changed. Back in the times of war, we held prisoners of war here for interrogation, and it seems like they have, repurposed a lot of Laron. He kind of puts his back toward the wall, and he sits in a pile of sand and hay. What if I told you that I knew the floor plan of this town like the back of my hand?
Really? That's impressive.
It's at this point you can see him reach to his left hip and lift a button on one of the pockets, and he reaches in, and there's a white tome he pulls out, and he opens it. He's like, "Now it's been a while," and he licks his finger, and he looks through the tome, and he's like, "It's been a while since we've been here, but the dragons have never been a very creative type. Usually just real brutish, and they repurpose things. Like out front out there. Have you ever noticed that this isn't really so much an eatery as it is... The bar is more of a reception desk?
Yeah.
And have you
It's
noticed that the stage up there is more of an area that you line up perpetrators and you identify who was the criminal?
Yeah.
Dragons are not a very creative sort. That is their bane.
So, you're telling me every single part of this town has pretty much been repurposed for them?
It seems like it. I've only seen the entrance in here, but everything seems to be the same. Now, if only I had one of my information gathering compatriots here, he would know all the escape routes that several prisoners tried to take. And then at this point, he kind of slaps the tome shut, and he puts it back in his pocket. He's like, "But I have no intention of trying to escape. Because, I don't know if you saw the rest of what happened, but a lot of innocents, let us say that they are dragon food."
I've seen them come in and out before. I've seen the big guy over there, and I was lucky I had that iron ball around my ankle for that.
It's at this point he kind of looks down and notices you have it on your... He notices the swelling and chafing on your ankle as well. And he looks up at you again, he's like, "You poor bastard."
You don't know the half of it. It's been so long, man. I just want to go home. Just anywhere but here.
It's at this point that Joachim kind of rubs his chin. He's like, "Well, son, sometimes you have to be patient to find the opportunity where the iron is hot and you should strike. Provided there's not a key ring over there." And he points across the cell to where the wall is, where the nail is. "And we got nothing but dragons crawling from every side. We've got no option but to wait."
Well, you're lucky, because usually when the eatery's all cleared out, it's usually just me and Cinder. So...
Cinder, is that vile dragon woman that put me in here?
It's also the woman that kept me here, so... Yeah.
He kind of looks out to kind of see Cinder out in the main lobby, and he's like, "You poor bastard."
God.
Yeah. That's the woman that's kept me here for so long. But I will admit she's the only one here that I can actually say has treated me well. Everyone else either just snarls or throws stuff at me.
It's at this point that Joe kind of puts his hands to his forehead, and he kind of rubs his forehead, and he's like, "Well, you gotta make a living somehow," and, You can see he's visibly stressed, like he's, like, going over thought processes in his head. And he's also like, "Tell me, son, is there anyone else on the outside that you'd want to see again?"
I just want to get to a place where I can just be happy for once. I I really didn't have a home. I my troop was the only family I really ever had, and it was all taken away from me. So now I'm all alone here, besides Cinder. And if I can just go anywhere, I'll be happy, but I don't want to be anybody's prisoner or pet or whatever. I just want to be happy, man. This isn't a life that anyone deserves to live.
You can kind of see Joe like look toward you, and he just blinks a few times. And then he looks back toward the hay and sand of the floor of the cell.
Xavier just kind of looks around and just sighs. One day, where Cinder is actually wanting to get out of here too. The people here tend to not like me being around here, and she's the one keeping me. So she's already got a bad rap. Luckily enough, she's probably the best ticket out of here.
Joe kind of furrows his eyebrows as he looks up toward you. And he's like, son, are you crazy? Those dragons can be trusted just as far as they can be thrown. And given how big that one is, I don't think you could throw it very far.
I have nothing else to trust. She's been the only one here that I actually can say has been trustworthy. And I know for a fact any of the other dragons would just maul me to death. If it wasn't for her, I'd be gone. So, if she's alive, we'll stay alive.
It's at this point that Joaquin's kind of messing around with some of the pouches and pockets on his person. He's like, hey son, do you know where there might be a little ventilation in this room here? No reason. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Gotcha. What is my... Am I... No, okay, so that's 11.
Yep,
Wait.
okay.
Hold on.
Excuse me.
I looked at the wrong one. Perception. Oh, I have fucking expertise in that. So that's 14, my bad.
Okay, that is good enough then. Okay, whew.
Yeah.
That was close! Ah!
My bad.
But, is Mel still there?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. It's at this point that, Joaquin pulls out a very slender pipe. And you can see him take some of the hay and push it into the end of the pipe. And then he pulls a vial out of his left satchel that has a very odd green dust in it. And he puts some into the pipe.
Oh no.
What are you doing?
Don't you worry none, son. And what Joaquin does is he can see where the ventilation is, which is just a rotted hole in the wall just outside of his cell, to the right side. And he puts a little bit of hay through the bars on the outside. And then you can see him strain as he puts the pipe in his mouth, and he gets a a rock and a piece of flint, and he starts to strike them together just outside of the cell.
Oh.
I'm gonna roll a check on that one. 17. Okay. And it's at this time that a... Hey, Cinder, give me a perception check. Based on hearing.
Okay. No, go my brother. Alright, let's see. Okay. 14.
It's at this point that you hear this. You hear the striking of rocks together.
Ooh. So you're just gonna furrow her brow a bit and, like, go into the room? Like, peek in? Like, now what are you doing in here, Xavier?
Nothing. I'm not doing anything.
Maybe a deception check.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so that's 18 plus 3 plus expertise, so that's 24.
Holy shit. Okay, Cinder, you need to make an opposed persuasion check.
Okay. Beep. Again. Okay. Sorry, all over the place. Plus 3. Alright, that's not gonna work. That's 12.
Okay, so you believe it. So you believe it.
Yeah, nothing going on here. Don't worry.
She, like, sort of scrunches up her nose a bit, like, turns her back and, like, walks.
And it's at this point, Zavi, that you notice that a very small ember has started in the hay. And Joe has turned the pipe over, and he's trying to light the end of the pipe on the small embers.
Oh, Oh. I see. Never mind.
And then Joe's like... He's starting to speak in Sylvan now. He's not speaking in Common anymore. But you also speak Sylvan, right?
Yes.
He's like... Right, I didn't think about the dragons being out there. I should probably be a little more covert. Thanks for the cover, son.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, what I have here is a little bit of something from the Great Fae War 25 years ago. Is going to taste terrible, but I guarantee you, it's going to send for help eventually. And what he does is you can see a green wisp come out of the end of the pipe as it's finally lit. And Joe takes a drag from it. Uh-oh, that one.
Uh-oh.
And you can hear him cough and sputter like, oh, it tastes stale. So, Cinder, give me another check based on hearing.
Ooh, boy. Beep. Alright. That's 11. Plus... And that's... That's 12.
Okay. I'm gonna call that good enough if you want to come in.
Yeah, this time she's gonna, like, walk in completely.
Shit.
She's like, now what is all this ruckus? I know nothing does not sound like all this.
And
what's she gonna see?
It's at this point that Joe is going to kick a bunch of sand toward the small ember he's made outside the cell. Oh god, nat 20.
I like that you got a nat 1 and then a nat 20.
What the hell, a metal dice? They are on the opposite end of the dice, right? Yeah, they are. What the hell? And then it's at this time that the small ember is extinguished on the outside of his cell, and it's covered up with some sand. And he just sits there quiet as he puts the pipe on the other side of his leg. And he just stares, he didn't say anything.
Cinder is gonna squint really hard and she's gonna approach the cell and she's gonna be like, now tell me, what is a yawn?
And what he's going to do is he's going to speak in Sylvan on purpose. And when he speaks, it sounds like the rustling of trees and leaves. You can't understand what he's saying at all.
All right, if that's the case, then she's gonna turn towards Xavi and smile at him like, "Now, can you be a baby doll and tell me what he said?"
What does he say?
What he says, it's none of your damn business, devil woman.
Yeah. Xavier just says, he just had a cough. Don't worry, he's fine.
Can I make an investigation check?
Sure.
Da-da-da-da.
So you're making an investigation check based on intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that. Ooh, I'm proficient in Sweet. So that would be 16.
So he looks 15, jeez.
What are you investigating?
I'm gonna investigate if Xavier's telling the truth.
That would be an insight check.
I had the insight, yeah.
Oh. Oh, oops. Well, it's still intelligence, right?
No, it's wisdom.
No, that's wisdom.
So it'd be a you wouldn't be proficient, but it's a +1 instead of a -1.
Yeah.
So technically you'd roll
roll
the
that
same
again.
technically you'd roll the same thing.
Did you?
No, because you have a +2 in proficiency.
Oh, you're also proficient in insight?
No,
let me check.
because
I
for the
don't know.
investigate or
Like
what was it?
I'm trying to convert the roll to insight, dude, which is wisdom
Oh, yeah.
based, not intelligence based.
Then that'd be 15.
Okay.
Okay, 15. So what would I?
You're going to opposition deception.
Oh, okay, that's fine with me. Getting a not one. Ooh.
Okay.
And I oop.
So make a very not convincing lie.
Yeah, I shrugged.
Ooh. She's actually gonna crouch down and stare at you. But her gaze is not gonna turn like aggressive or anything. She's just looking at you with the same facial expression. She's like, "Now, tell me, have I ever lied?"
You are roboting
When I-
super hard.
Yeah.
Oh, am I? Ooh, I'm so sorry. I don't understand. My connection is fine. It's not red.
Whoa.
Whoa. Maybe I should change the VC region because we're at 1 bar.
Change the region. Yeah. It's on everyone. It's not just you.
Jesus.
Server
I'm so sorry.
settings. I forget how to do this. Oh, there it is. Change. Let's do US East. Save.
Ooh.
Hello?
Hello.
Whoa.
Okay, that's a bit better. Please continue.
Yeah.
Right. Ooh, I'm sorry, this never happened to me.
Yeah, because
before.
it's you're in the east and we're in the south, so I'm like, maybe putting it to your region might make it a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually does.
Okay.
Alright.
So can you from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
check?
I can-
Yeah, because I didn't
Yeah.
hear any of that.
Yeah, I didn't catch anything. You're like, beep!
Oh, God. Alright. So what she's gonna do is she's gonna crouch down and she's gonna stare at Xavier. The same expression she's like very used to. She's gonna be like, "Now tell me, Xavier, language. Have I ever lied to you when I told you what those cold bloods were saying?"
Well, I can't confirm. They. Oh. All he said was that he doesn't want to say anything. I'm being honest.
She's gonna like tap her finger against the bars, thinking a bit. Now, Xavier, you already know I'm exercising a lot of my. Please don't give me a reason to take it away.
And then Joe at this point switches the comedy. He's like, he's right. I don't feel obligated to share my name.
And she's gonna look over at Joe. She's gonna be like, "Well, then, that's good enough for me." And she's gonna stand up and cross her arms. And she's gonna say, now, considering you came here semi-willingly, I'm gonna assume you're not a troublemaker. But you can never be too sure with people who come around here. And she's gonna, like, think a bit as she looks over the both of them. Xavier,
Yeah.
do you think you can trust this one?
I mean, he's the first person I'd be able to talk to in about 7 months, so yeah.
Alright, and she's gonna walk over to Joselle with her arms still crossed. She's gonna be like, tell you what, sir, you don't have to trust me. But if you trust Xavier, that's good enough reason for me. So I'll let you in on a little deal. Me and Xavier, we've been planning something big for the longest time. And we were wondering, or at least I was wondering, if you'd be interested in a proposition.
He squints his eyes and is like, what sort of proposition do you have in mind?
Now, I'm sure you definitely have no reason to trust me. But I'm sure you can trust Xavier. He knows all about it. It benefits the lots. I'll get the power around those who scorn me. And he'll get the respect and freedom he does when we finish this. And since you two seem to share a race, that could extend to you.
And then Joe looks over to Zombie and is like, well, he's the weirdest looking hair I ever did seen.
God.
That's some weird dog hair, man.
Hey man, why's your rabbit barking? Alright. He's gonna... I'm not Xavier, excuse me, I'm not Xavier, I'm Cinder. And Susie's gonna be like, now I've done all I can to keep Xavier safe for all this time. And I know it doesn't look like much, but beggars can't really be choosers around here. Especially when you're of the first sort. But I'd be willing to offer you some of that protection too if you play along.
Joe speaks up. He's like, well, I don't really intend on leaving my cell, given how assertive they were with the rest of the innocents they brought in. So I can assure you I won't be any trouble as long as I'm in this cell.
And Cinder, like, smiles a bit, and she's like, well, if that's the case. Then I suppose when we close up today, I'd be happy to fill you in on our little plan that's been going on. Until then, though, try and play nice. I'm sure if you ask Xavier, he could tell you about it. But until then, I've got patrons to take care of.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble with your higher up. So go ahead. Go. You can go back.
Alright, and Cinder's gonna, like, dust herself off. And before she, like, leaves the room, she's gonna look over her shoulder back at you both. And then she's gonna smile a bit and leave.
It's at this point that Joe brings up the pipe and he takes another drag. Except, oh, let's just do a con check on that. Okay, he does not sputter this time. Jesus. And then he exhales in relief. He's like, I really guess you can't judge a book by its cover, huh?
I told you. I know she seems a little harsh, but she wants to get out of here as much as anyone else does. Now, the way she's been wanting to get out was finding some weird crystal or something. And that would be our ticket out of here. Would you happen to know anything about that?
It's at this point that Joe's eyes widen. He's like, "You're telling me the Scale Freaks have not found the Earth Protocrystal after 25 years? Man, they're incompetent."
I mean, most of them are tempered, to be fair.
That does make a lot of sense.
So, it's hard to say that they're decent enough to actually find it. But we've been busy searching for it ourselves. I'm not sure if there's been any progress as of late, but we've been having really good progress so far. I think when the eatery closes up tonight, we can probably see about getting more work done on it.
Well, we shall certainly have to see, shouldn't we? And
Yeah.
it's at this point that Joe's is kind of smoking the pipe to himself. And you actually notice this pipe has no scent to it.
Damn.
But you do notice that the wispy trail that comes off of it is actually venting directly out of the hole. Because he's holding the pipe and specifically blowing into that side of the room.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of curious about your pipe there. How is that supposed to signal for others to come help?
How about we just wait until tomorrow and you'll find that out.
Okay, but that just seems odd to me, I guess. I'm not really used to seeing wisps like that.
And then Joe at this point's like, "Well, I'm sure you wouldn't rather smell tobacco, now would you?"
It's better than smelling blood. So,
And then Joe's like, "I'd second that notion."
there's been enough of it here. So, hey, it's better than nothing.
Okay, so at this point, let's go ahead and skip the closing time.
All right.
Closing time.
Closing time. All right, so Cinder, you go ahead and take it over. You can go ahead and dismiss your tempered kobolds and clean up.
All right. And make sure to call back the one that's in the food storage too. And I'm gonna recount and just bark a draconic. All right, now get on out of here.
And instead of like vivaciously running out, they just kind of drone their way out the door in single file line.
And Cinder's gonna shake her head a bit and close the doors. And Davy and Joe are gonna hear the rustling of a chain this time around as she locks up.
Alright, that sounds like closing time. Now it's time to actually get to work.
And then Joe at this point is just been kind of laying flat on the floor in the red sand and the hay.
Alright, and Cinder is going to come in. And she's gonna be dusting her hands off. She's like, well, another day, another. And she trails off. Yes. Well. What?
I knew what you were gonna say. You're gonna say another day, another dollar, but you didn't earn any money because you're not paid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not paid. She's gonna head over to the cells. She's gonna be like, well,
Do you want to check on
Wow.
the food stores to see how much that kobold got done?
yeah, sure.
As you peek into the food storage, you can see... Do you remember all the disemboweled corpses that were hanging on the corners?
Yeah.
They've all been processed down into worn-down wooden barrels, but the one that was in the center that's hanging there,
Yeah.
it has not been touched. It is, like, exactly the same. It's kind of eerie how the eyes are locked into shock.
Ooh.
Also, the way that the corpse is hanging on the hook, it seems like it's turned directly toward you.
Ooh. It's spooky.
It's at this point that you're like, okay, you don't go in there any longer than you need to, so you just close up.
Yeah. Essentially. Alright. Alright, she's gonna head back to the cell room and look over the cells. Well, I suppose we should get down to business, huh, shall we?
Yeah. We need to get to work.
It's at this point that Joe kind of shuffles up from laying on his back, and he dusts himself off. And he's like, I don't think I've introduced myself proper. My name is Joaquin Payme. I was a key player in the Great Fey War 25 years ago.
Huh.
Ooh. And Cinder's gonna, like, perk up a bit like, 25 years ago? Huh, I wasn't even born then. What?
Yeah. He's been telling me a lot, and he does know his stuff around here.
Really now? Well, that sort of information could prove useful to our plan, huh?
Hopefully.
She's gonna look over, to Joe's cell. You can go.
You're gonna unlock it, or just...
Just gonna look over a bit.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Xavier to talk.
You're waiting for Xavier to talk, or waiting for Joe to talk?
Xavier,
Oh, what? What? Why? Huh?
were you gonna say something?
No.
Oh, okay. She's gonna be like, oh, well, alright. He's gonna be like, so, about that proposition, Mr. B.
And he kind of nods his head and gestures to continue. Go on.
Alright, and she's gonna take a breath. Well, me and Xavier here, ever since we've gotten the flack that we have decided to make a plan to escape out of Laurent. As you can tell, people don't really take kindly to our relationship. And I've grown weary of all the hushed whispers of my shameless self-indulgence and about how disgusting it is to keep my pet around these parts. It really is humiliating to work as hard as I do and get no compensation. And then I remembered something I heard around the parts. About a crystal around here that the battalion was looking for. So I decided, why not kill two birds with one stone and try and find it for ourselves?
It's at this point that you can see Joe's expression kind of go from neutral to a little more focused, and he's like, a crystal, huh? Now, what were you planning to do with this crystal once you got it?
She's gonna smile a bit. She's gonna be like, well, personally, I have no use for it myself. neither of us really do. So I was planning to excavate that crystal myself and pawn it off to the highest bidder. See, these pots, money ain't really a common thing. I forgot the word for it. Excuse me, so. And I'm quite tired of being broke myself, working for scraps despite me busting my hide. So, money is power around. And if I had lots of it, I would have power. And no one would be able to say anything about me or my Xavier, ever. So I'll make my profit. I'll stock up on the goods I need and blast my way out of Laron, taking Xavier with me. And then we can live out our lives as we want without any judgment.
It's at this point that Joe kind of tweaks his beard and is like, so, have you accounted for being pursued, perhaps?
Of course I have.
She's, before she was, deranked quite a bit. She made a lot of explosives.
And she's gonna laugh. She's gonna be like, several times to be exact. I guess you could say I'm a real bombshell. And as she like says bombshell, she's gonna pull out a grenade from between her cleavage and like catch it in her hand, like toss it up and catch it in her hand.
You really gotta be more careful with those. Don't want to blow yourself up. Or all of us.
Oh, but that's a part of the fun of explosives, Xavier.
And then Joe at this point's like, you realize when I say being pursued, you don't realize it's not just from dragons. It's probably from everybody. Is infamy something that's really worth that much money?
And Cinder's gonna like catch the grenade and like hold it as she thinks like, She's gonna think really hard about this. Like she's like really focused and she's like, well, don't me and Xavier already live in some sort of infamy around here?
People already look at us weird anyway.
Is at this point that Joe kind of shrugs. He's like, well, alright, if you're sure.
She's gonna like put the grenade away again. She's gonna be like, if being bad is wrong, then I don't ever want to be right.
And it's at this point that you can see Joe reach over into his left, like, satchel. You notice the satchel on his left side is eerily shaped like a book. And he pulls the white tome out again. And then the first thing Joe says is, now, I'm sure where you might be excavating is probably in the back of this cell right here. And he points towards Avi's cell. Because that was a key escape route back in the war times.
And you would be correct.
Very perceptive you are.
He knows this place better than both of us, apparently. He's been here before.
It would seem so.
So, you wouldn't happen to know the actual location of it, right? You just know of its existence.
The crystal that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Well, I certainly know it's in Laron somewhere. Below it. I don't know precisely where it is. You see, during the war, we decided to... How do I put this? We decided to cause an en masse cave-in and abandon Laron so so that the cold-bloods could never find the Earth protocrystal. And then he kind of holds both of his arms out, kind of above his head. And that's why the cold-bloods have still probably not found it to this day, because every single passage has been caved in.
So there was a path to it before.
There were several paths to it before.
Hmm.
I'd even wagered that the chamber that it was in itself might be caved in, but no one was dumb enough to stay behind and die to find out.
Huh. Well, the best we can do is just look for it ourselves, really. Because as much as it sucks being here, might as well be productive with it.
And then Joe at this point's like, well, I'll offer what I can, but I'm more of an information man. So I'm not the greatest with tools.
And Cinder's gonna speak up again. Now, one last thing, Mr. Payme. I must make. You see, I'm already walking on thin ice with keeping old Xavier here. I don't think my status is enough to carry 2 years. So, I'm sorry to say that there's only so much I can do for you. I'll do my best. So, I'm sorry to say that if you somehow get yourself into trouble, there's not much I'll be able to do for you then.
And then Joe at this point is like, I've got years of experience of intentionally getting caught, but not intentionally not getting into trouble.
And she nods her head once and she's like, just making sure. After all, you may not trust me, but I figured I'd give you reasons to at least try for a little while.
So what are you doing? Are you gonna leave him in his cell because you don't trust what he's gonna do?
Actually, she's gonna get an idea. She's gonna walk over to the cell and be like, tell you what, Mr. What if I do something to earn your trust a bit?
Oh.
It's at this point that he takes a few moments to kind of think to himself. And you can essentially see, like, the think fumes coming off his head. And then you see the light bulb moment where he's like, okay, I'm listening.
She's gonna reach into her cleavage and pull out the ring of keys and, like, twirl them around her finger and catch them. Now, me and Xavier here have a system of sorts. I can't let you, a prisoner of war of sorts, just be seen around roaming around. Xavier's made a name for himself as my acquaintance himself, but I'm sure if I try to claim you're of the same nature, I'd be tempered on sight. So, here's how it'll go. Play nice during the daytime, and when we're all closed up, you can roam free and help us out however you can.
And then Joe nods like, my only intention is to stay within the confines of this cell and the other. I never want to be outside of it, if possible.
It's what you wish. And she's gonna unlock Joe's cell. And when she's done, she's gonna open up Xavier's cell. I'm gonna look towards him like, well, shall we get to work, Xavier?
Indeed.
It's at this point that Joe will slowly open his door and come around to the other side. He's like, well, if you show me what work you've done, I can guide you in the right direction. It's the least I could do.
Right, and she's gonna take off the board that covers the entrance, the excavation site, and motion towards it. Well, here's all 7.5 or so. One, ooh, I had a brain fart. Ooh.
What she means
Here's
is
the
months of progress.
Yeah. Here's here's the result of 7 or so months of work. It's not much, but it's something.
And then he's like, okay, well, lead the way. It looks a lot longer than usual.
Alright, and she's gonna look towards you, Xavier. She's gonna motion you to follow her.
He nods as he's following her. So,
Alright.
Cinder, did you end up finding anything? Like yesterday?
Why, yes, I did, actually. It was the darnest thing. I found flakes of yellow gemstones, and it made me think I should be working a bit more smarter than harder. And that's exactly what I intend to do tonight.
And then Joe, at this point, is gonna take a look around. Okay, it's a good roll. He's like, pray tell, what direction did you find these shards in? Were they more in the floor, or were they in the wall when you found them? They're in the floor.
Yeah. I remember. I just wanted to be sure, because like you said, vertically, not horizontally, vertically. And she's gonna tap the floor with her foot, and she'd be like, "The floor, good sir."
He's like, that would make a lot of sense, given that these were found toward that direction, and I did tell you that we caved in several passages, so that would be down. And it's at this point that you can see him point his hand, and he pulls up a cubic 5-foot thing of sandstone and move it. This is the mold earth cantrip.
Ah, yes, good old mold earth.
Oh.
And then Joe's like, as I said, I'm not much of a tool using kind of man.
And Cinder's gonna clap her hands like, "Oh, good show, my sir. It might not be tools, but it's definitely a worthy endeavor."
And it's at this point that you guys are working through the night, and as he uses mold earth, he makes more of a staircase going down, so it's safe to access.
Okay, thank you.
Nice.
So you don't need to climb on the pythons or like fly anymore, because now there's an accessible staircase. Although the steps are pretty big, they're like they're like a foot per step.
Damn.
Not
And
bad,
it's at this point that you realize the earth shards. Actually, both of you give me strength checks, because I assume you're going to be using tools.
Yeah.
Drink.
Beep.
And
That's five.
I will make an intelligence check, since that's what his spellcasting modifier is. Okay.
Ooh, 7.
5, 7.
5 and
Oh.
7.
Very bad.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Not
at this
lying.
point that you discover that the sandstone is no longer sandstone. It's become
Oh,
this
no.
very strange, translucent, yellowish, sort of material. And it's at this point that you notice that Joe is able to make his way through it using his mold earth spell. He's like, well, what's the matter? You can't break through this no more?
Not really.
And then he places the chunk of the new material kind of in front of the both of you. He's like, go on, break that. It might give you an inkling as to why.
Do I have to
And-
make a strength check?
Yes. Both
Okay.
of you could work together to make one.
Alright, I got 9.
I got a 14.
Okay, 14 is good enough. So Zavi, as you burst open this rock, you can see that the small crystal slivers that you found are now actual, like, palm-sized crystals.
Ooh.
See, we're getting kind of through the crust here, and we're getting a little more subterranean. So, the rocks themselves have taken on more of a mineral quality, and they're much harder. If you're gonna want to make more progress, you're probably gonna want to replace them rusty pickaxes you got.
Hmm.
I don't think we can actually afford a new pickaxe.
It seems like your kobold friends might not have been able to afford many of them either. An idea I had is we could probably dig around this layer for now, and then we'll see what we can come up with the next evening. Because to your left side, because to the right will kind of lead out of bounds of Loran, unless you want to go that way.
Hmm.
So at this point, you'll be digging horizontally again. If you want to move to the left or to the right will kind of lead beneath the ground out of Loran, but you remember what was out in the sands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, land sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably best we just stay towards Luron.
Alright then, I surmise we should probably dig toward the left. We might be able to make a little passage. We might be able to make a little contact with one of the old tunnels, and then just have to break loose rocks the rest of our way down.
That sounds better than digging through all this stuff.
That definitely does sound optimal.
Alright, so y'all give me some strength checks.
Okay.
Yeehaw. Another 14. Sweet.
Let me see. 18. Wow.
Okay. So you guys work for another hour, and then, Zavi,
Oh.
as you strike the wall in the center, it crumbles down, and you realize that you have made contact with another mining shaft that has already been dug.
Oh.
Ooh.
Cinder, give me a perception check.
Okay. Haboo. Perception is wisdom, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's a 5. Rip.
You see several red color scales, but it's nothing, right? These could have been here for a while.
Ooh boy. Can I ask Joe about it?
Sure, if you want to.
Alright, Cinder's gonna like wave down Joe and like point out the scales.
I just watched VC as it lit up when that happened. At this point, that Joe's like, "Now listen, do I look like I have scales to you? What could dig and have scales?"
Do I have to make a check?
No.
Ooh. Okay. Alright, Cinder quickly puts it together. There might be kobolds around.
It's at this point that Joe is like, "Now, pray tell, y'all wanted to keep this a secret, did you not?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It will probably be in our best interest to block this somehow and not continue this way.
Well, I think that sounds like a grand.
However, the only things that you have to block this with, all the sandstone that you've shattered is now like large chunks of sand that does not have the constitution to create a wall. But as you look ahead into the mine shaft, you can see several splintered and rotten pieces of wood you could probably lay above it on the inside. And then you could shovel the sand back into place so it would look like a wall unless someone interacted with it. Is that something you
Yeah.
want to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, give me You can make either a strength check or a dexterity check. What would you like to make?
I prefer
Dexterity.
Dexterity.
Okay. So you guys are going to work on making the walls convincing, and I guess Joe will try to take over the strength check, because he's going to have to shovel sand once that's set up. Both of you give me dex checks.
Hey.
That is
18.
15. So it's a 15 and an 18?
19.
Oh,
19.
19.
Okay.
Jeez.
So you guys successfully are able to make a wooden wall, as Joe... Okay, that's good enough. As Joe is able to shovel sand up behind it to where it's dense enough that you'll need a tool to get back through it. It's at this point that all of you are tuckered out and tired. Perhaps it's time to head back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, Hugh. We've made a lot of progress.
And then Joe says, you might have made a little bit too much progress. You better hope that's not discovered. The good news, though, is you might not need to do any more digging. I think your next prerogative might be to do some exploring.
Exploring, huh?
Like, imagine, them temper kobolds are probably working round the clock. How much more could you get done if you didn't have to work or eat or sleep? If you just kept digging.
You're not wrong. And those tempered kobolds usually aren't prepared to fight. They're just kind of there.
That's right thinking. That's kind of how them zombified folk were back in the Great Fey War, and we had to unfortunately chew through them. They were just cannon fodder, nothing more.
And hopefully we won't have to hurt many, but we'll get through it.
And then as you guys are traveling back through the tunnels, Joe's like, I wouldn't worry so much about harming the temper. Now, imagine if you were trapped in your own body, and the only thing that you were allowed to do is sing the praises of a fell deity that you don't know and you don't respect. At that point, you would wish for death, would you not?
Yeah, that's fair.
Very fair.
Just... I guess that's their only purpose, is just to be a vessel for whatever.
At the end of the Great Fey War, we had to execute a large amount of our own peoples. It wasn't easy. We like to avoid executing from either side if we have to, but we had no option. They were making Tiamat stronger, and they had to go.
So the more tempered there are, the stronger the deity gets?
Correct. And the more power they are able to lend to their underlings. It seems like the Coldbloods are on the rise again. It seems like they've really been trying to swell their numbers.
Huh. And that's probably why more and more of the Fae keep getting killed.
Indeed.
Huh. That's not good.
And after a bit more traveling, you guys arrive back to the plank. Hey, both of you, how about you give me a d6?
I got a 6.
I got a 6 as well.
I got a 5, so we're all good.
Alright, Gucci.
So it's at this point that Joe walks around and dusts himself off, and he places himself in his own cell. He has no desire to go out of line. And then he says to the both of you, it's at this point that if y'all really want to get down to that crystal and you want to escape, that you're going to want to get equipped for exploration and survival, because, as I said, I've only known that crystal is here. I don't know what purpose it serves. I don't know its importance. I don't know its worth. All I know is it's below this town, and everybody wants it.
Well, we're not really kitted out for that kind of thing. As you can probably see from me, all I've pretty much got is that guitar. Cinder on the other hand.
No. Oh,
Cinder, on the other hand, well, she's more able to get things.
nah. Cinder's gonna pop up. Now, don't cut yourself so short, Xavier. I'm sure you can do wonderful things with your guitar if you try hard enough.
Yeah, like get money thrown at me and get side-eyed all day.
Now, come on, Xavier. Isn't there anything else you can do with that guitar?
I mean, I can. But to a bunch of these people, I don't know if there's much I can do.
I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt to believe in yourself a bit more. I certainly do.
He blushes a bit, just like rubbing the back of his neck. You could tell his little nub of a tail is wagging.
Shut up, alarm.
Oh, time.
Battle arm.
Okay, please continue.
Alright, they're back up in the room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. And what Cinder's gonna do is she's gonna take the keys out and lock Joe's cell with a click, and she's gonna be like, "Now I do apologize that I have to lock you up, but if anyone dares to investigate this room and finds out your cell is unlocked, it's definitely going to look sus for all of us."
It's at this point that Joe raises his hand and is like, "Hey, it's okay, I never intended to leave this room." As agreed.
And Cinder nods her head and she goes over to JV cell to like cover up to make sure the cover is still holding up good, and gives Xavier a pat on the head. "Now you think about what I said to you, alright, Xavier? You need to believe in yourself. I'm sure you can do great things with the rest of you. It's best we all get some rest."
Yeah. You're right.
And the next
Just
morning comes by. Oh, you're going to say something?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Next morning.
So the next morning comes by, and Cinder,
Yeah.
instead of your normal staff of kobolds coming into the bomb shelter, you see a significantly more battered and half destroyed Drillmaster Locke coming in.
Ooh.
He only has one arm. His other one has been ripped off of his socket. You can see the scales on half of his face have been blasted off. And he has a large bruise. And with his other remaining hand, he's holding another Faunican.
Ooh.
A female Faunican with jet black fur, muscular arms, swollen forearms, yellow sclera with red eyes, and her nostrils are flared, constantly taking in breath, and she has platinum blonde hair. She's wearing a white shirt with a blacksmith's apron.
Yes!
Bitch. Bitch.
and then Drill Master Locke, he's like,
I was
Cinder,
right.
quickly, we need to put this psychopath away. She took my arm and beat half my squad to death with it.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And then there's another one of the kobolds that is extremely bruised, holding his disembodied arm in his hands.
Oh my god.
And that's where we're gonna end for today.
I was right. I was thinking about it too. It could be Ruthie, and it was. Oh.
Bitch. Oh, bitch. No fucking way, dude.
Pog. Oh,
Pog.
shit.
Chimp.
Yeah, sorry for the short session. I wasn't super prepared, but believe me, now that I have time prepared, the next one is going to have combat in it.
Ooh.
It might happen
gonna-
sooner than you think.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck. We're gonna see Ruthie in combat.
Again.
Ooh.
Again.
That's not a good thing, because it's probably gonna be against us. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Ugh, I'm so excited.
Wait. Oh, wait. Oh. Because Ruthie has history with Joaquin, doesn't she?
Maybe.
I know she has history with cold bloods, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And who's worked together before Joaquin and Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh.
Oh, bitch.
Oh.
Oh, bitch.
Thing is gonna come into something good. Oh,
Oh,
shit.
bitch.
Like, this session was chiefly to establish the characters you have, so I think I've run enough without preparing anymore.
Oh my fucking
So,
God.
you guys ready to have your post-session discussion? Because I gotta turn off the VOD if we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well guys, thanks for joining me for, the bomb shelter.
Yeah.
10.5, the bomb
Oh
part.
boy! And next time it's really gonna pop off.
Ooh.
Alright, well, say bye to the nice people, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
See you next time for bloodshed.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.